This happened to me my freshman year of college. Tinder was new, and everyone at my university was on the app. I joined to see what all the fuss was about, and looking through profiles, I found a few guys that were really interesting, and this one guy in particular caught my eye. We'll call him Walter. I swiped right on Walter and we matched. I was excited and kind of giddy, because he was super attractive. He messages me, and I got butterflies in my stomach. We messaged on the app for maybe an hour. Typical conversation is happening. I asked what he does for a living. He asked what my major was. Harmless conversation. After a while, he asked for my number so we can text instead of message on this app. I gave it to him. He seemed nice enough. Lots of flirty conversation, and plans to hang out finally occurred. By the fourth day of conversation, he started calling me babe, which gave me mixed feelings. It was cute, but also a little weird. We really didn't know each other and had never met. I ignored it and continued on with the conversation. He started saying that he wanted to be exclusive, and he really wanted to see me in person. He was begging me at this point to come to his apartment and cuddle and watch movies with him and his dog. I told him that our first meet needed to be in public. I would not be going to some stranger's apartment. He said I was overreacting and kept begging. I ignored him for the rest of the night. The next day he apologized and said he understood that we needed to meet in public, so we made plans for that weekend. The weekend came faster than I expected, and it was the day that we were supposed to meet. Something just felt off, and I decided to back out. I texted him apologizing, saying that my mom wasn't feeling well and needed me to come home to help her with some house chores. This made him annoyed, and he said, "Your mom is a big girl. If she needs you, she can call you. Just come over and you can leave whenever to go help her. I really want to see and kiss you." I told him no, that I would be staying with my mom that weekend, and that was that. I only lived about 30 minutes from home, so I actually did go home to see my mom that day. After what he said about my mom, I started ignoring him, and the text started rolling in. Text after text. "Babe, I'm sorry. Please come over. Babe, I miss you. Are you going to come over?" I planned on replying the next day that I was just busy with my mom. Then he started calling me. I had a total of 45 missed phone calls within a 2-hour period. He left voicemails saying that he was sorry, and he just missed me, and wanted me to call him back. Similar voicemails continued the entire time I was home. My roommate texted me shortly after I finished dinner with my mom, and asked if we could go out that night. I agreed and went back to my university dorm. Suddenly, the calls from Walter started to increase again. More texts, voicemails, and he started messaging me again on Tinder, asking why I wasn't replying to him. I wasn't planning on replying until I got a message on Instagram that said, "Why didn't you tell me you were coming back to town tonight?" Getting this message really freaked me out. I replied to him and said, "Sorry, I've been busy with my mom. How'd you know I was back in town?" He said, "Well, I checked your Tinder, of course." Tinder doesn't tell exact locations, but has a within 1 mile message. This really freaked me out, and I messaged him back and said that he was being really creepy. He seriously had to be constantly refreshing my profile to see the distance change. The messages, calls, and voicemails continued. All were him now apologizing for making me feel weird about him knowing where I was. He was just worried about me. We had been texting for less than a full week. Less than a full week. I told my roommate about it, and so we decided to stay in that night. The last straw for me was getting a message saying, "Look, I'm really sorry. I'm outside your dorm with flowers and chocolates. Please forgive me." Oh, hell no. I told campus security and told them about this guy, and they never found anyone waiting outside any of the doors. I'm assuming he was in his car waiting for me to reply. I blocked him on all socials, phone number, deleted Tinder, and had never been back on since. I have seen him once out and about in town, but he never recognized me, thankfully. Walter, if you ever read this, I'm glad we never met. Thanks for making me second guess every single guy I find attractive. As a bit of backstory, I was working at a small chain motel in the Midwest as a night auditor. So my hours were normally 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. With those kind of hours, and being a woman, I'm bound to have some weird stories. The scariest time I've ever had working there happened within my first month. So, it was a little bit before my shift started, and because I was single and 22, I was on Tinder before work. I matched with this guy that seems cool, a little goth/alternative, and into Ouija boards and tarot, which is my type. So I was hype at the time. We talked for a bit, and I tell him I had to go to work, so we say goodbye. Now, that night was my first night off training, so I was running the motel by myself for 9 hours. I was already a little nervous, but then this vaguely familiar guy comes up to the front desk and asks for me by name. In my head, I've got red flags blaring at me, because this dude is weird. Not by looks, but just by vibe. I tell him that I'm me, and then he explains that he's the guy from Tinder, and he saw that I was less than a mile away, so he went to see if I was possibly working at his hotel. That's right, this guy was staying where I worked. Red flag number 2. I stayed behind the comfort of my desk for 2 hours, because this guy won't stop talking to me. Mostly about how his ex left him, and how he beat people up, and how he wants to bang me. Needless to say, I was uncomfortable. And this hadn't happened to me before in a work environment, so I did not know what to do. He finally decided to go to bed around 2 or 3 a.m., and I take a much needed smoke break. I go outside, and right after I spark up, guess who shows up? Creepy dude. I snooped around a bit on his account, and he was a painter and was doing work locally, so he wasn't from here. He tells me about where he's from, and keeps getting closer and closer to me. He asked if he can smoke weed, which I said yes, so he'd get away from me. I showed him where the cameras weren't, and he pulled me in, smelled my neck, and started grabbing my butt. I swiftly hit him and told him that he better not touch me. I threw my cigarette on the ground and grabbed my phone to call my boss before going inside. Creepy dude rips the phone out of my hand and proceeds to text himself. So now he had my number. First thing he does is send me a picture of his extremely body-modded penis. I have seen some penis in my day, but that was nothing like what I had ever seen. Then came the creepy BDSM porn gifs, with captions like, "I can't wait to do this to you. You know what room I'm in." Now, I'm already freaking out, and I don't know why I didn't call the cops, and my boss wasn't answering. So there's me in the back office having a panic attack of my life when I get one more video. Why I clicked on it, I'll never know. I refuse to say what I saw in detail, but it was a snuff porn film. Very violent, very sexual. I then locked myself in the back room, cried, and waited a few hours before proceeding to make hotel breakfast. The text went on for a few days until I had enough and got the balls to tell my boss. He immediately kicked out Creepy Dude and banned him from our hotel. His company wasn't even allowed to book in that hotel anymore. In hindsight, I should have called the police, but I was too scared. Creepy Dude, let's never meet again.